What's going on, guys? Oh my gosh, I guess my phone's telling me I only have a little bit of video left to record. I'm gonna have to delete some stuff to make some space. Anyway, so I wanted to come on here really quick because I didn't want to forget today to go ahead and show the progress of what I've gotten done already. So I'm gonna kind of go around. I basically made and cleared the space with the chainsaw today to make the little yard for the area that I would like to place like a very small cabin, just to have this like little quiet, secluded area back here, to have like a little fenced in yard so that you could have your dog or dogs, whatever, and have it be like fenced in. I have like the ideas are growing and unfolding, and so anyway, I just want to kind of show how I cleared out the space and kind of some of the work I've already done so far today. All right, so let's try. Okay, so in some of my last videos, in my first videos, this tree was where I wanted to clear out a lot of the space, and I did go ahead and do that. So like you can see, here's one of the posts. You can see the other one right there. So basically, I'm gonna bring a little more. They were like all this stuff that's in here was all grown way out. You can see there's even one right there that was growing way like just straight out into this. This one right here was growing straight out. There's a couple of these ones that were growing way out into this area, but they weren't really providing any shade whatsoever. So I went ahead and trimmed all that back so that I have space to go ahead and now put the fence right here without, I have some space to kind of, this will grow over time, and I'll have to get in here and kind of keep it cut back, and until in the long term, eventually, I'll have a fence around the entire property, and it won't be, it'll end up looking different than what I'm doing right now. What I'm doing right now is semi, you know, temperate, or excuse me, temperate, excuse me. I'm a little tired. Semi-temporary. Anyway, so these were going to be the two, right? So this was, I can't even remember how many feet, like 18 by, I can't remember, 36, something like that across. And then, just a big box. Well, I decided to go ahead and make it bigger because I had already had the idea, right, that this was going to be the area where I would like to have a little cabin eventually. But in the meantime, what I am going to be able to do when I take this big tree out right here, because it's worthless. We're going to go over to it in a minute. But this area here, there was a bunch growing out into the space. You can kind of see I have my sweater and my beanie on top of this post. So there's the other one. And so it was going to be a relatively small yard, but it was going to be so that I had just a small area to help keep the dogs safe. And so that I could bring them up here in the summertime when it's just deathly hot up, down in Phoenix, where you can't really take your dogs outside or do anything. Sorry, I should just talk to the camera more. I'm gonna have to work on my content. You guys are gonna have to give me tips and suggestions. Anyway, so let's go back around. So this was all grown out big time over, like basically where that pine tree is. It was stretched all the way over, like all the branches were falling all the way down. You can kind of see how they fall out really wide, these juniper trees. So it was falling all the way down to where that was. So I had to go in here and clear all that out so that now I can have the fence going straight right here. And I have some space now where I can get in there and clear back. And then the little pine tree is going to stay and be in the it's going to stay and be in the inside the fence, because I would love for it to survive, even though you can tell that up here, like it's the wind or something. They get these crazy windstorms and like they break and like try to repair themselves. It's kind of crazy. Like some of them have these really unique spots where you can tell they struggle to survive around here. It's so close to an area where it would be great for them, and some of them are doing good on this property. So my idea is to try and do my best to just feed them, cultivate them, do whatever I can to like support some of the ones on here. And I'm going to try to, like, some of them have been, they basically have like grown up inside the freaking these juniper trees. It's kind of crazy. Like, you can even see like this right here is a pine tree that's growing almost as tall as the juniper tree, but it's growing up inside of it. It's like it wouldn't have been able to have survived if it didn't have the support of like one of the cedar trees or juniper trees that are around here. And that seems to be kind of like the case of like how it works with them. But I'm wondering if, like, once, you know, they get to a certain level of maturity, if you kind of cleared the juniper away from them, if they'll, you know, if they're able to at that point be strong enough to be, you know, self-sufficient and survive on their own. We're going to have to kind of mess with it a little bit and see. But anyway, I am now about to measure this out. So yeah, we went in here, cleared some pretty good stuff out in here, cleared all this space so that way the fence can come right up through here. Then you can see my car, and then the fence will come straight over here. And then this will basically be like, I'm going to clear this back a little, and then this whole tree is going to go away, and then that tree right there is going to go away, the little bush. And then all this is all, a lot of this crap that you can see sticking out is all like just stuff that I've already cut down. And this will be where they'll be able to get it in here, like your trailer or the cabin when it's time to bring it in here. And yeah, it'll sit right here, facing up out in this way. And it's really difficult to see even from this angle, but it drops off down past these trees right here into this really long wash, and then it goes up on this hillside. And so when I clear out a few more of these trees, make a few there's a tree right over here, I'm going to clear a bunch out, so there's going to be more space this way. So several of these trees right here that are kind of blocking the wash are going to get taken down, and then but a bunch of these other little ones that are just sitting in here are all going to stay. There's a pine tree in here, that one's going to stay. And then you'll have this whole nice kind of just very gently downhill sloping yard before it gets to these like big, you know, like almost like a berm of malapai rocks down over here before it drops off down into the wash. So let's go take a look. So yeah, so then you see you get over into here, and now you get into this like really heavy bouldery malapai rock, which my neighbor used to make these really neat like stone pathways. He like stacked them all up like an old school stonemason. It was super cool. Yeah, but what I was gonna say is, you know, if I take out this whole tree right here, there's a pine tree growing up right here in the middle that I'd like to save. Take this whole tree out right here, clear a bunch of space of this one where it's sticking out, you know, into the space, and then you're going to be able to see all the way down into here into this big open wash before it slopes up onto the hillside. And then in that sense, you know, and this is several hundred feet already back on the property, so it's much lower than what the other people in my area, the neighbors, have like where they've set themselves up to be much closer to the road. And I think that I'll end up wanting to have something set up to be up there as well. But yeah, it's I just such a good feeling and vision about the way that this would look and work. You know, like I said, with this more opened up, you take out some of those bigger junky juniper trees over there, which will clear up a nice open space into this whole area, and you'll have a nice view. And especially since I plan to, you know, basically you see these big giant bouldery rocks, my plan is to dig and put like cylinder, like concrete cylinder, like post style foundation for the cabin when it's time to finally put just a cabin here. And that's going to that is going to be like 2 feet high. I'm going to have them be somewhat high up so that way you'll also be set up a little bit higher and be able to, should just do it like this. So you'll be able to be set up a little bit higher and you'll be able to have a much, better view of the little, downhill slope, whatever. Anyway, my mind's a little fried. I'm getting cooked in here. The sun's cooking my brain. I'm just kidding. I have a lot swirling. I have a lot to get done today because I have to get all my posts driven today because I have to turn the post. Well, I guess technically it's not that big of a deal. I have to return the gas powered post driver tomorrow. I have a hand post driver, so I mean, at the end of the day, I could still drive posts even after I have to return that, but I have to return that at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, so I'm not going to end up being able to use it tomorrow at all. So I have to get all my posts for the fencing I'm going to put up here for now, up now, and then, yeah, and then I'll know that I'm accomplished for the day. So the sooner I get that done, the better. So I'm going to go ahead and wait. Before I do that, so this was the other tree that I needed to clear out. Had to take some stuff down over here. This is a spot where one had broken, and basically that branch had fallen across this whole path here, and everything else was just growing out. So there was no way for me to even, like, from where my camp is over here, I've been having to just like crawl through the bushes for every time I've even come up here so far. So definitely was time to clear space. I put some of it over here to dry as firewood eventually. Well, this whole tree is going to end up being taken down, so I'll end up being able to make firewood out of a lot of that. Well, all of it technically. I got a little bit over there I need to move over, but one of the things I was going to show is that I guess I might as well take this opportunity really quickly while I'm stopped, like from working to go. Okay, so this was a bunch of the cuts that I made today, like all the trees and everything. I just stacked it all up right here. But what's interesting is you can see that orange post, it goes all the way down, it goes all the way up. This is his property. You can see he's got stuff, he's got a shed, a whole bunch of property on his side. And so I basically just kind of like stacked this up as like a little bit of a boundary for now as well, that acts as somewhat, it's not really much of a vision, like barrier, even though I will end up stacking it up higher when I do end up cutting a lot more, but it's all going to end up just getting burned as firewood eventually once it's dried out enough. So yeah, anyway, that's it, guys. That's all the work I've gotten done so far today. Quite a bit of chainsaw work, and yeah, now it's time to go ahead and get that gas powered post driver going. But first, just line everything out, which with this thing it's actually going to go super quick. So all right, thanks for checking out White Mountain Outdoors. I love y'all. Check back in later. Peace.